Most homeowners only ever talk to one agent before hiring them to list their house. This mistake can cost you thousands of dollars, months of wasted time on the market, and many, many sleepless nights. In my last video, I broke down why this happens and what you can do about it high level. In this video, we're going to dive in and really break down my 4-step system to finding, pre-screening, interviewing, and choosing the best realtor to list your house. You don't need any more generic advice. You need a clear, actionable plan that will help you find and choose the right realtor for you. If this is your first time on my channel, I'm Lindsey, your property geek. I'm a real estate agent here in North Fort Worth, up in Tarrant County. And while I service all of DFW, I specialize here in the surrounding communities around the Alliance Corridor, Haslet, Saginaw, Keller, Watauga, and all the surrounding areas. This channel is all about breaking down complex data into simple, clear, actual insights that will actually help you make good decisions for you and your family. Hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. That way you can stay on top of what's happening here at North Fort Worth, the market data, and all of the insights and tips that I have for you. In this video, I'm going to do a quick recap of the previous video. Then I'm going to walk you through the best ways to actually find agents to interview. Then I'm going to dive into one of the most skipped steps, even though it could possibly be one of the most important. Then I'll walk you through how to use some of the exact questions you should do during the interview and how to use my guide that I'm going to give you a link to. And then demonstrate one of the least stressful ways to actually choose the agent that you want to work with. Let's get to it. So if you haven't already watched the last video, it's not required for you to watch this video, but if you want to, there's a link to it right here. My last video, we talked about this staggering statistic that over 80% of people only ever talk to one agent before they make a hiring decision. I can't blame you completely. This is not the most fun process, but it is a very important one. And it's one of the big reasons why I created this quick series and the free toolkit that you have a chance to download later in the video. The reason this is so important is because here in DFW right now, only 20% of the homes sell each month. So if you make the wrong hire and you have the wrong strategy, or even worse, no strategy at all, you could be one of the homes that sit on the market month after month, having to do price drop after price drop, sleepless nights, you're pulling your hair out, and you either end up never selling, so you expire, or you cancel, and you decide, oh, I don't even want to sell anymore. Or you do get a contract. By the time that happens, though, you're at such a disadvantage to the buyer that they end up getting tens of thousands of dollars in discounts from you that you really didn't even need to do in the first place if you only had the right strategy. Now, this is one of my passions, is making sure people have the right data, the right advice to make great decisions. I'm so tired of seeing agents that don't take this job seriously and give the whole industry a bad name, getting paid the exact same amount as all of these other hardworking agents that actually do a great job representing their clients. I want this guide that we're about to walk through to be your source of truth on how to actually find, interview, and choose the right agent and no longer rely just on a referral alone. So step one, how do you actually find agents? Now, I've kind of been bashing referrals, but I'm not against them. In fact, I think step one of finding great agents is asking friends and family who you know have moved recently, and that's the key. They need to have moved in the last year. Because when you ask your friend who moved 5 years ago, well, one, their agent may not even be in business anymore, or two, maybe their agent hasn't really done much since then. Now, if you still get one of those recommendations, that's fine. I'm going to show you in the next couple steps how to make sure that they're still great at what they do. But the key is, if you have friends, family, coworkers, church members that have moved in the last 12 months especially, find out how they like their agent. Now, just asking for a referral, though, hey, which agent did you use? That's not the best way to go about this. Here's a little pro tip. First, ask them, hey, you moved recently, right? In the last 12 months? They'll be like, oh, yeah, definitely. Hey, tell me about your agent. How good was their communication? How happy were you? If you had to move again right now, would you still use them? Ask some of those questions, and you actually might dig a little bit deeper, because naturally people love to give referrals. It's a way of being of value. And most people genuinely want to actually be of value. So when you just ask for a referral, well, you're going to get one. When you ask a few deeper probing questions, you'll find out if they actually truly should be referring that person or not. And if, assuming all that checks out, hopefully you'll get a good referral. Start collecting these. you want to get a minimum of 3 to 5 agents to interview. Now, if you want to collect 5 to 7 agents, we're going to go through the next step, how to narrow that down. But start with referrals. The next way I would recommend finding agents is a local search. So go to Google, type in local best realtors near me or local agents near me, whatever. What you should find are agents with a great online presence. This is important. Again, what you're hiring this person to do is to market your property. If they can't even market themselves, how good are they going to be at marketing your property? Now, ranking number 1 or top in Google is hard. So this is not the only criteria. But if you start seeing patterns here, meaning you get referrals and then you start seeing them online as well, those dots start connecting and you start feeling better about this. And we'll go into the pre-screen questions here in a second about how you can actually vet some of these people. So step 2 is an online local search. Step 3 is a social search. Go to Facebook, go to Instagram, TikTok if you're in your 20s, maybe YouTube, and start searching your city plus agents. So I'm in Fort Worth, so Fort Worth realtors, Fort Worth real estate agents, and start looking for people again who pop up in these searches. Start engaging with some of their content. Do you like it? Do you not? Does their voice or their way they speak, do they sound knowledgeable? Do they not? Again, you don't want to go too far, too deep into all this. Start collecting some names. Once you get to about 5 to 7, if you get to 10 names, that's probably a little too many, but you want to stop somewhere around 5 to 7. You might get all of these through these first 2 steps. If not, the social search should hopefully provide those last couple of names you really need. I purposely put the social search, why can't I say that? The social search last. And this is because, a little pro tip, just because someone is great online does not mean they're actually a good agent. Not naming names, but I've definitely met and known certain agents who rented fancy cars, or they went to builders and toured fancy houses, and they look great online. Like they're busy, they're productive, and that obviously they try to make it look like people are working with them, but they don't actually have any real experience. And so you really want to be careful about this. That should hopefully start becoming more apparent as we get into the pre-screen and the interview questions. Take your online social profiles with a grain of salt. Just because someone has a good Instagram profile or TikTok profile or great videos does not mean they're a great agent. This should be your last step in finding agents to interview. If you've been following someone for a while and you know, obviously, like, hey, I've seen their social proof, seen reviews, interviews with clients, obviously that's different. You've already been following and you know them, add them to this list for sure. Your next step is to pre-screen this candidates. Now, this is probably one of the most skipped steps in any of this. The pre-screen is very important, especially if you've collected several names. Let's say you have 5 to 7 names, but you want to get it down to maybe 3 to 5 people to interview. Ideally closer to 3. You don't want to spend too long in the interview process. The magic number is really 3. So 3 to 7 candidates possibly, and then you're going to start narrowing people down in the pre-screen. And the way this works, the best way, the fastest way is a phone call. During the transaction, you will build a relationship with this person. And you need to know how they talk or respond on the phone, because you're going to spend a lot of time on the phone. Now, I know a lot of us prefer text these days, but you do not want the only way you communicate with your agent to be via text. You want to have phone calls and make sure this person can actually speak to you and convey information to you in a simple, clear way. Especially as AI is becoming more prevalent and you're going to start seeing more AI generated videos from agents, there might start being a very wide chasm between how they look online and how they actually respond in person. If all their videos are AI generated and they sound perfect and polished all the time, and you meet them in person or talk to them on the phone and they can barely hold a conversation, well, it's not great. Now, what you're seeing here is a portion of the guide that you're going to get for free later. I'll put that link in the video here in a minute. But this is going to walk you through all the questions you're going to want to ask this person on the phone. And once you get to that point and you've asked them all the questions, you should have a much better feel for the person. Now, one of the other things I want to give to you guys in this guide is an AI prompt that will walk you through, and it will search, find their online reviews, and then walk you through what people are actually saying. Now, AI can hallucinate, and there's a warning in the script as well, but AI can hallucinate, and you want to read some of these online reviews yourself and make sure that it correlates. But I found that getting a very quick AI summary of the most common words people are using, what kind of phrases they're using, and then you can ask about your particular situation because maybe they're great at selling a home, but they're not great at helping you buy homes. And this will help you go through all their online reviews and find out what people are saying about both. So just a little pro tip there. You're going to get that in this guide. I'll put the link in here a little bit. So you found your agents, you pre-screened them. Hopefully you've narrowed them down to maybe 3 to 5, hopefully closer to 3 agents. Now you need to do the interview. This is where a lot of people are going to get caught up because you're not used to interviewing. Maybe you've been in a bunch of interviews yourself, but you've never been the interviewer. And so this is where I would strongly recommend, one is you practice with someone beforehand, maybe your spouse, maybe a friend or a family member. Just walk through these questions asking. A lot of agents, especially if they're high producing agents, they're going to have what's called a listing presentation. And they're going to show up and they're going to have the song and dance they want to do to walk you through their slides or their presentation that makes them look amazing. I'm not saying don't let them do that, but I am saying you also need to make sure that these questions get answered. So whether you want to have them just skip their presentation altogether and ask these questions, or maybe you want to do both, that's up to you. But I would strongly recommend you practice this interview at least once beforehand. And then I have 2 sections in this free workbook. So first is the why behind the questions. And as I scroll down here, you're going to look through, like, say, this first set of questions. It's going to give you the actual question, why this matters, and then an example of a good answer. And what this does is it helps prepare you to ask the question, understand what you're looking for. Now, I'm not going to go through all these questions. There's a bunch in here, and you're going to get this guide for free. So just know that when you're walking through this section, it's very important to ask the question and then stop talking. This is where most people lose themselves. Everyone wants to add more context to the question, but a lot of these are open-ended for a reason. You want to find out how they're going to answer. If they're going to start stuttering or if they're going to not understand the question, which is bad. These are worded very simply, but these are very impactful questions. And I've organized these into questions that will logically lead you through the most important categories that you want to know about. So once you've read through the why behind the questions, then you're going to be in a spot I'm calling the agent interview workbook. And this is all part of the same PDF. It's part of the toolkit I'm going to give you guys. And so this is where you can go through and you can print this off, 1 copy for each agent. You don't have to do this. If you prefer to do it digital, that's fine. But if you print this off, now there's spots to take notes under each question. As you go through here, you can ask your questions. Remember, let them answer. Don't try to give them too much context or make it too easy on them. And then take notes. You're not necessarily always taking notes on what they're saying. It is important, certain these questions with numbers attached. You want to know about their performance. Are they getting a little antsy? They don't like the questions because they're having to actually put proof to their claims. The whole idea behind this workbook is really to make an agent or someone you're interviewing prove what they're saying. If they're telling you they're a top 1% agent, well, prove it. How many transactions have you done? What do your numbers look like? What does your marketing plan look like? All of these questions are designed to uncover the things that most sellers should be asking about. And this is from an insider, obviously another realtor, that after being in the industry for over 8 years, close to 9 now, that I have seen so many agents that get hired and have 0 plan, 0 strategy, and almost 0 experience. And yet they're commanding the exact same price to be paid as someone with experience, with a plan, with a strategy, and with proof to back it up. Using this workbook should help level that playing field. So even if you decide you want to hire that person, maybe you just liked the person, you want to give them a chance, that's okay. That's your decision. But you could say, but after interviewing 3 other agents, you're falling short on all of these categories, and we want to give you a chance, but we think that your experience and your strategy or whatever only warrants this much commission versus what you asked for. You can actually use this to negotiate on your behalf. Anyway, this is the agent interview workbook. And so the last thing with the agent interview workbook is if you look down here at the bottom, each section is going to have a score to it. So once you're going through, after you're done with the interview, you want to go back, reread your notes, maybe add some extras after you've done talking with the person, and you want to add a score here. Once you've added that score, then you're going to go over to the agent decision matrix that is also included for free with the toolkit. So that's what you see right here. These are the categories that you're going to be evaluating: experience, proven results, strategic planning, marketing and accountability, and professionalism and rapport. All of these are extremely important for an agent that are actually conducting your sale here. And what you're going to do at the end of each of those categories, of those sections, like I showed you, there's a score. You're first going to go through and you're going to weight each one of these. Which ones do you think are more important than others? You could just say they're all the same, copy and paste. There's no difference there. And then you're going to add your scores under where it says score under each category. And then it's going to multiply those and give you a weighted score. Don't want to mess with this section, just the ones where it says score 1 to 5. And then what you're going to do is you will go and you'll have an actual score to use to decide. Now, could you always choose someone who doesn't have the highest score? Of course, this is your decision. Maybe after interviewing, you really liked Steve Rogers. Man, the guy was so friendly and informative and was nice to my dog or whatever. But then you look and you're like, oh man, but after looking at this, yeah, he was great at strategic planning, but he had a really low score overall. But Kyle over here, he was perfect in everything. Well, yeah, this should hopefully give you a way to unbiasedly compare and then make a decision. This should really help with is people that are close. So right here, if you would say you didn't interview me, but you had Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne, Steve Rogers, and Tony Stark, and oh man, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers were 27s, but Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne were 39s. Oh man, who do you choose? Superman or Batman? That's a tough one. I know I'd choose. Maybe leave a comment down below. Batman or Superman, who are you choosing? But when you look at this, that should really help narrow it down. And then you can get into a little bit more, who did you build a better connection with? Usually, and this is what I found, when you have a tool like this and you have a guide like this, by the time you get here, you probably already know. You may not even need this, but if it's really close between 2 or 3 people, this could really help you have an unbiased weighting of who actually did the best and who you should actually use to sell your home. Okay, now we've been through the whole toolkit and how to actually use it to find the right agent, pre-screen them, interview them, and then make your decision. Hopefully this helps. I want to give you all of this to you for free. There's going to be a link in the description below. Go in there, find that, give me your email address so I can send this over to you, and you will get all of this for free. Zero charge. I just want to be of service to you. My mission is to help homeowners here in North Fort Worth take complex market data and break it down into simple, smart, actionable decisions that will help them make the best possible decision for them and their family.